Welcome back to Mark Holubas' vlog, everyone. Thanks for joining in, and as you can see, it's been a little bit, right? We were in Mexico in the last few vlogs, and then we did my actual live chat, but then now here we are back at home with all of the snow and the glory that we love here in Canada. Obviously, right now it's about minus 13 with a bit of a stiff breeze. Makes it a little bit uncomfortable, I'm not gonna lie, but here, what is parked right behind me? Well, last time you guys probably saw I had that BMW X2, punted that. Hey, look now, I actually have my hands on, what we have is a 2.5T Jaguar F Pace, and I want to talk about my impressions, compare it to the F Type. There's a lot of great updates in this vehicle because it's a little bit newer. This is a 22 model year, so it's a little newer than the F Type, and so there are some updates for it. But there's also some things I want to make comparisons because there's some things this does better than the F Type, and there's some things that the F Type blows this thing out of the water. I want to talk about some of those things, and we'll do a little bit of a drive around, but also there's some great updates on the channel. One update, of course, you guys seen I've turned on the membership ability there. So if you guys want to go in there, offer up on Exotic Car Play Place, the ability to, pay for a little extra emojis. It's really more about the support of the channel. But I can actually get you into a list. We can do shoutouts to you guys if you ask questions. And specifically, I can get into a lot more detail on questions that you guys may have. And I can do that and focus it right in on that. So some great options for the memberships. And again, Exotic Car Play Place is your hub for that. Now, before we dive into the F-Pace here, I just want to share a few last moments that we had in Mexico, trying to keep myself warm. And for all of you guys there which have snow-covered grounds like this, obviously, maybe let this warm the cockles of your heart, if it will, because clearly it's cold here right now. It feels like minus 13, but honestly, well, it is minus 13, but it's colder than that. And last night it was about minus 25, so things have been really, really cold here. We've got snow. It's pretty wild. But here, before we get to the F-Pace, definitely check out this quick little montage of the last few days in Mexico.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to work, cause my boss is a jerk, and I'm not even that paid. I need a change in my life, cause I don't feel alive, and there's nothing that makes me happy.
Different vehicles. Look at this little Toyota Jobby. Don't see many of these around Canada. Oh, Hyundai. What do we have here? It's a Creta. I never heard of that one. Look at this there. We actually have a French car and we have a Chevy, as well as this cute little Nissan Jobby right here. Oh, what do we have here? Toyota. This actually looks like a big vehicle in this group, but we know it's not. How about this Chevy Beat? And this Kia's Rio is kind of beat on its own right. Oh, Icon. What is this thing? Ooh, this thing's kind of rough looking. Not gonna lie, it's pretty nasty. But it's a Ford. I guess that doesn't really surprise. And what else do we have here? Oh, Jetta, that's pretty typical. And right here we have another one of these Hyundai, and it's a Creta. Well, it's funny because my wife's name is Greta, so it almost looks like a Greta. And right here, oh, gotta like that, Renault, right there, Stepway. I don't know about that. There's your Chevy right there. And a little Hyundai, kind of a crap box car, but good on gas, I'm sure. And then we have this Dodge. I'm surprised this Caliber is even still running. And right here we have a Toyota Avanza. What is an Avanza right there? Not sure. And a Chevy Aveo. We definitely have these here as well in Canada. And right here, well, we all know about what I think about Jeeps. Not particularly great. And right here we have a Renault. Right there, as you can see, Renault with a cool little taillights, and it's a Duster. How about another Duster and a Chevy Beat right there? Oh, Ford Edge. Can't ever forget about those guys in the rental car department. All right, so let's get started on this F-Pace here. Right here we have the gorgeous little kitty. I love this little thing. Cute for sure. Some of these actually have a plastic guard on them, but very, very cool. Has that great look like all Jaguars these days. Of course, the beautiful headlights that almost look like, like a low brow there with the light staring at you. It almost like it's just sort of angry, but I love that looks of it. Of course, you got the lower section here, not too unlike some of the F types, but a little bit dialed back, a little more conservative, not quite as aggressive, but that's okay. It's an SUV. Of course, the natural ride height is a little higher, but you have under that hood a 2-liter making about 247 horsepower. It's a turbocharged engine. You do have an 8-speed automatic, so it does shift very, very nice. Has some great wheels. If you look at these wheels, they're nice. They do the trick. They're not aggressive. They're not an overly large wheel. We have the Continentals here, and they're not the best. I'll be honest, been ripping around here, and the vehicle's been sort of sliding around. You get around a corner and it kind of wants to slide out on you. So while they do a decent job, they're not the best winter tires by any means. What I did notice on this F-Pace here, look at these taillights right here. They're very much like the F Type, but this is where things are a little bit simpler. You'll notice they actually have a different style of insert. The lighting design is a little different. On the F Type, you actually get a cleaner, almost like a strip of LED within. It's nicer on the F Type for sure. It's a little different. The overall shape of it from a distance looks the same, but the makeup of the light and the shine and the reflection is quite different. This is a 2.5T all-wheel drive. As I mentioned, 2.5T represents the horsepower, 250 horse. Okay, what about going in here? We actually have a backup camera right there. And under here, you'll look, we have this little button. Press that, and then you can flip up, put your junk in the trunk, if you will. You've got some storage crap, actually a spare, full-size spare, which is kind of not typical in a lot of vehicles these days. You've got some tie downs, some extra storage capacity pass through there, and you've got the seats that drop down. Pretty flexible and versatile vehicle. You've got this, touch that, and down she goes. Very, very neat. Of course, you've got dual exhaust tips, very cute. Spewing out the CO emissions, great, love it. The heck with the electric. But let's see what's inside. Open that, back seat, pretty decent. Love the contrast stitching in orange. Love the high gloss black. That's a beautiful touch. It's basic controls. Of course, you got some plugins down there. Very, very simple. A little holder here for your cell phone. Some vents that you can conform for your own need. But there is not heated seats back here, which is a little disappointing. Of course, this flips up. But very nicely constructed. Adequate room for sure. What about the front? Let's go in here. And we slide on in, and as you can see, it actually says minus 13, but sure feels a hell of a lot colder than that. Coming from Mexico, where you're plus 30 every day, down to minus 15, it's a big jump. Of course, it's a different design here with these Jags, these F-Paces here. You know, if you look here, people talk about the build quality of Teslas being substandard. I mean, this isn't the tightest gaps, if we're being honest, but that's okay. I do like the layout of this. It's quite nice, and it takes some getting used to, because on the F-Type, window controls aren't up here, and it's a cleaner door panel, but here you actually have more of a, looks like a platform right here, if you will, as it sort of contours around. Great steering wheel. One thing I'm using lots is this heated steering wheel, because it's cold out there. Of course, another great element just to stay warm. And by the way, you'll notice it actually has the revised screen. If you talk about the older version of the F-Type, like the one I have, it actually has the side buttons, like the click buttons, and the screen's smaller. So this is the improved version of what you would even find in the later versions of the F-Type. So the current models. If you went with the newer generation of F-Type with the different headlights, you'll get this style like this as well. So down here, this is great. And I'm getting very much used to this. I mean, you can go home, you can do a lot of great things. Of course, you got navigation and pick your poison there. Make a phone call. Here's your music. I love this because right now we're using Sirius Radio. Love the plug-in. It's amazing. Some of that comes standard for a little bit anyhow. And then of course you can go heated seats. I love this. You can adjust that, and I've been using this lots. As you can see, it's very cold outside. Toggle that up and down, and you can do on both sides as well. You also have, turn that away. You can check out your camera action. I can see what's going on behind me there. Hit it again. And it gives you a slightly different perspective on it, in or out. Parking sensors, you can turn them off. And of course, turn off the whole system altogether. You can just turn that, flash that. Of course, you got dual climate controls. Love that. And if you look, here's your heating control. So you have to press the button first, then it changes up on here. Now you can toggle whether you want heat on the head, on the feet, and you can even do that so it's still defrosting while you're getting it to the feet. So everything's done now through this interface. You just hit the button here. The button itself doesn't really do anything, but it brings up the availability on the menu. Kind of like it. It's a little busy if we're being honest. You know, the old days of trying to just hit the button and it does something. Now you hit the button and you got to do another step. So it does get a little bit annoying at times, but that's just the way things are going. Of course, you got cute little stop start right there. And you can disable that crap right here because everybody knows that auto shut off isn't the greatest thing. Of course, here you got your driving modes and you can toggle that this way or that way. And of course, right now we're in standard mode. You can go eco, snowflake, or you can go over here all the way to dynamic mode right there. That's great. But for all intents and purposes, we'll swing it over there and it defaults back onto that spot there. You can turn off your traction control. I wouldn't advise it in this weather. And again, lots of great high gloss piano finishing. Beautiful around here, around there. It looks great. Like, it's a nice overall interior. All the way along, you get more piano gloss finishing there. And it's nice touches. You've got Jaguar written on there. And lots of those little details. Again, Meridian stereo. Not sure that they're the best stereo systems around, but they work. Of course, more of that contrast stitching. Beautiful heated seats. You'll notice it's not a cooled seat though. Not in this particular version. This is just heated. So it works, but it is what it is. Then up here we actually have, we have this large panel that can open up. And by doing that, hit that. And then we can open up the sunroof. Look at that. Oh, all that cold air blowing in. But that slides back, gives you lots of light for all the little passengers who sit back there enjoying things right there. It's perfect. So we can actually close that again, hit that button, and then this closes again. I'm not gonna lie, I love that. I like lots of light in the cabin. As I mentioned before, the F Type, you can get the all glass ceiling space, but unfortunately in the F Type it doesn't open. It's just a big glass panel, brings lots of light in. And I hit that one more time. So now we've had this vehicle actually for, I would say, well, since we got back. So at least for 2-3 weeks, somewhere in there. I would say 2 days into taking possession of this vehicle, all of a sudden it spit out a low coolant light. Now the vehicle, it's not new. It had over 50,000 kilometers on it, 30,000 miles when we took possession of it. What's interesting is low coolant light at 50K, that doesn't inspire confidence. So in my mind, with low coolant, you're either leaking it or you're burning it. So I'd have to ask the question, where's it going? I looked under the hood, I didn't see any leaks. I didn't see anything on the ground. I hope it's not burning it somewhere through a cooling system or certainly through the head gasket. That would be very, very bad. I don't see any smoke back there. Typically with a head gasket, you'll see white exhaust plumes coming out of the tailpipes. Don't see that. So maybe it's just a minor thing. Maybe with 50K, it just needs a subtle top up, which I happen to do. I have some coolant laying around for the F Type, but that's something that popped up. Otherwise, it's been pretty flawless. Like I said, the handling is good. Performance is okay. I would say the X2 was a little zippier and had a little more pep to it, but this feels more truck-like and more, you feel like you're more in an SUV. You're sit a little higher. Coming right out of the X2 into this vehicle, yeah, you do feel a little higher up. Like you do feel like, I'm in a vehicle that actually has some substance to it. Now the BMW had some other touches to it that were cool, but honestly, the F-Pace is a great vehicle. And if you play your cards right, personally, I'd advise go with the supercharged. Maybe go with the V6. I know we also have a guy near our neighborhood who has an SVR. Great, yeah. Then you can get the F Type engine in your F Type or F-Pace. Then you're talking. Then we've got a vehicle that's definitely very, very cool. But this is not the same vehicle as the F Type. The F Type, remember, is the epitome of what Jaguar has been doing. Like, they've summarized it. They've taken the old E-Type, built off of that from a design standpoint, but then they brought all their best drivetrains together, some of their best design elements, and they put it all together in one package, all their technology in one quick package, and you've got the F-Type. Then what they did from there was scale down. Now we have the E-Pace, the F-Pace like we're driving right now, and things are not quite the same. They've softened up areas that aren't quite as nice. Like I said, the taillights and certain, the front end finishing is a little bit softer in this vehicle. But from the driver's seat, you know, when you got to get around and it's minus 20 and there's snow on the ground, this is definitely a great alternative. So for people looking for something that's maybe a little more versatile than an F Type, because let's face it, an F Type's a pretty dedicated sports car. We talk about it, I do daily mine, and I have to keep looking for better rubber for it. But it's not the best winter vehicle. You know, the all-wheel drive system's not as good. It's more configured for performance than it is for poor traction. Also, with the tires you get on the F Type, not great, not by stock. Plus the ride height's very low on an F Type, obviously, and this one's elevated. So this is definitely a better compromise for somebody that just needs to get around and pick up the kidlings and all of that good stuff. Well, let's get on our way, and here's the other piece that I just want to show you. It's actually this little guy. Now that's your shift controller. Obviously, it pops up. Let me just turn this off for a second, and you'll see now it goes away. Oh, how cute is that? Turn it back on again. As you turn the vehicle, now that pops back up. Then all you do to select your gears, you take that, flip it over, now we're in drive. It's a very cool thought, but I have to wonder if that thing doesn't eventually crap out and stop functioning at all. But either way, it's very, very cool. So let's go off and take a little bit of a drive. I will tell you, first off, the vehicle it's nice. It feels pretty tight. I don't hear squeaks. I don't hear rattles. While it's a late model vehicle, it also has 50K on it, or 52 now. You'd think you'd start developing some weird squeaks and rattles. Driving on rough roads with the snow and the humps and the bumps, and there's no banging or squeaking or clunking. The vehicle's very, very tight, so I can speak to that. It's a very cool vehicle from that perspective. You don't feel like you're driving around in a hunk of junk. It's a great driving car, or SUV if you will, and it'll feel like a true luxury vehicle. I also did notice the fuel tanks. I did notice the fuel tank's actually significantly larger than the F Type. When I put in fuel in the F Type and I put in the premium, it seems to still be a reasonable amount. Like, it's not very much. Ooh, squeaky brakes. The amount of fuel I typically put in the F Type, if it's right on empty, I don't know. I'm thinking it's maybe around a 60 liter. I actually haven't confirmed that, so call me out if one of you guys out there knows that for sure. Like to hear that. But it feels like it's a lot bigger tank in the F Type or the F Pace, which would certainly give you a longer cruising range. And now, especially with the supercharged or the turbocharged 4-banger that we have in this car, you will definitely, between that and a larger tank, you'll get a lot longer range, you know, on a tank. So if you're traveling long distance, this is probably a better vehicle for that purpose. Overall, a great vehicle. I'm loving it. You know, and the question has to be asked. I mean, I say it on the channel, on the other channel all the time. Reliability and, you know, luxury cars certainly aren't necessarily the things that go closest hand in hand. But at some point, remember, life's too short to drive boring cars. So we have to ask ourselves, you know, at what point do we just say, you know, throw caution to the wind, enjoy our time out there? And you know what? This is a hell of a lot more fun than a RAV4, I'll be honest. It's more fun than a Toyota, I don't know. I mean, you name it. Highlander, for example. This is a lot cooler vehicle to drive around. It looks better. It certainly performs better. And it's just a nicer vehicle. You know, I preach about unreliable vehicles on the other channel, and I stand by that. And for people that don't know or not truly hardcore enthusiasts, stick with the mainstream stuff. But that's not what we're about on this channel. Mark Holbus, the vlog, is really about enjoying life, enjoying, you know, this frivolous benefits that we can have. You like cars, this is the place to come. We're talking about cars, fun cars. And why wouldn't you have this over, you know, a Toyota or a Honda? I mean, it's a lot nicer vehicle. The thing you got to take away from all of this, though, is, look, you could drive that, yeah, or not. I'm not a fan of that either. Those are junk on their own right. But the thing you have to take away from is, it's really about, you know, if you're going to keep a vehicle like this for long term, know what those problems are. Do your research, right? I mean, most of these cars have been around for a while, or at least most of the brands have been around for a while. And so then you have to ask yourself, you know, what's the reliability like on some of these vehicles? And, you know, where are the problem areas? Get ahead of those problem areas. If they're chronically bad all the way around, but you really have to have it because it brings a driving dynamic, maybe put it on a lease. Maybe sell it after it's 3 years old. Maybe get the CPO and sell it with the, you know, the certified pre-owned warranty, so that you know, the next buyer has more incentive to buy it. You know, whatever that is. You know, but don't, you know, in my mind, do what you got to do. to enjoy the experience, because really life is short. Life really is short, and I really do believe that we should be enjoying it to the fullest, because we don't know when our days are up. Or maybe you're just a great do-it-yourself. For a lot of these vehicles, you can just fix a lot of this stuff at home, and if you're good at that and you like wrenching a little bit, then don't be afraid of it. It is what it is. It was a vehicle. If you take the car to the dealership, those people working on the other side of the dealership in the back service bays, they've had training, but at the end of the day, they're people like you and I, and they just learn how to fix these things. So it can all be fixed at the end of the day. But if you need to have it, look at that. It's got a heartbeat on it too. Very, very nice. Hey, look at that. While we're gassing up, we're at the gas station here. Look over there, we have another F-Pace, and it happens to be the same thing in white. What a coinkydink. People are starting to catch on. These are great cars. So that only took about 58 liters of fuel, but we had about a quarter tank left. So I'd say that's probably, if I were to hazard a guess, probably about a 70 liter tank in this F-Pace, which gives it a pretty significant range, I would say.